Yeah, back to 2005 we go, my friends, and this is going to be an interesting one because one Tomas Iridia here on this podcast liked this show way more than I did, and I'm sitting here like, was it really that great of a show? I don't really think
It's
it was.
it's better than a lot of mid 2000s pay-per-views we've gotten around this time. We're talking about Backlash 2005. A
Mm-hmm.
Backlash it is. We're getting some Raw rematches, some continuations of WrestleMania storylines.
True.
We are taking place in Manchester, New England, and I hope you remember the name Manchester because we're going to be mentioning it a lot later in this review. We have some debuts, we have some continuing feuds, we have some WrestleMania rebits here. I didn't think I was going to like the show as much as I did, but I remember this is a very pivotal point in my wrestling fandom life because it was around this time that one of my elementary school buddies just randomly came up to me and said, "You watch wrestling?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "We're going to watch Backlash this Sunday. You want to come?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we kind of started this tradition where he would order a pay-per-view and I would order a pay-per-view. And let's say between now and like 2008, I saw like 90% of WWE pay-per-views around this time. So this was the
Lucky
first one.
bastard.
Yeah, I have some good memories, with the show. And
Yeah.
looking back on it as an adult, it was a fun show. It
I
was
have
a
a
lot more fun than it needed to be.
Yeah, I had a similar tradition dating back to New Year's Revolution, which we've already talked about. Shout out to my boy Andrew. If you're watching this, I hope you're doing well, my friend. We would have a tradition where we would basically watch any pay-per-view we could together because both of our mothers figured out that both of us loved wrestling and they, kind of connected us. And it was like,
Yeah.
and it's like, we still talk from time to time. He's a great guy. But Backlash 2005, man. I don't know. I mean, this show is better than a lot of what we got in 2004, but by '05 standards, like with some of the other shows that we're getting, this is very much in the middle of the pack for me. I don't know
This
about you.
is pre-draft, and we were talking about this a lot last night. I want to say this Judgment Day and not the Bash. No, not the Bash. This and Judgment Day basically is going to be.
Yep.
This is the last remnants of this roster because after Judgment Day, we're going to get a draft, and it's going to shake things up a big time. And we're going to save that for a couple of months from now when we review Vengeance. But this is still like,
Can't wait to talk about Vengeance.
Yeah, we're tightening up some loose ends. We're ending some feuds here. We're kind of like near the end of this, and we're
Yes,
almost
sir.
there. We're almost the end of the Reign of Terror. And again, Reign of Terror for me is Triple H main eventing almost every single Raw pay-per-view from the span of 2002 to like 2005. So we have this one in Vengeance, and then we're done. We're almost out of the woods.
I have a hot take regarding Triple H in the main event that we'll get to once we get to his match. But yeah, Manchester, New Hampshire is where this pay-per-view took place. Probably the only pay-per-view in history, I'm sure, that took place in New Hampshire. Shout out to this crowd from like 18 years ago because they brought it like it was going to be the only pay-per-view they would ever get. They brought so much energy to this show, and I feel like they added a lot to the overall quality of the matches, too.
Yeah.
Just because the wrestlers were feeding off of their energy and they had a bunch of adrenaline, they were fired up. It felt like a good night for the Raw crew, but
because it's the cool thing now as a wrestling fan to look at these stupid statistics that I don't care about, but it looks like it did very well. This arena can only hold up to 11,000, but they got 14,000.
Mm-hmm.
They added some space into this venue, and it looks like it did very well. So, I don't know why they never gone back to this venue.
I'm sure they've gone back for like TV tapings, but never a pay-per-view. Never a pay-per-view.
Again, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to open that can of worms, but I feel like everyone cares about these stupid statistics in wrestling, like gates and attendance. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't work for any business, so why should you, Joe Schmo eating Cheetos, sitting on the couch, care about these irrelevant numbers?
About finance. What do we know about finance? Like, I'm sure that was, I don't want to speculate and say that that's the reason WWE's never gone back to New Hampshire for a pay-per-view, but this pay-per-view did really well, and, the crowd reacted in kind. You have 6 matches on this card, which is very streamlined for a Vince McMahon produced product, but we open up with yet another rematch that dates back to Taboo Tuesday. right?
I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man. I see wrestling. I like wrestling. And this was wrestling, what we opened up with. Yeah, we're revisiting a feud that's all the way back in October of 2004. Apparently, Chris Jericho remembers that he lost the Intercontinental Championship. So he is challenging Shelton Benjamin for the Intercontinental title, a rematch from Taboo Tuesday. I don't know why they waited so long to go to this feud, but I really enjoyed the build going into this match. This is a babyface versus babyface match, but Jericho definitely flipped on the heel switch for this feud. Basically, after WrestleMania, like I said, Jericho just randomly remembered that he lost the Intercontinental title and he wants it back. And him and Benjamin get into a war of words going into this pay-per-view on Raw. And Jericho was one of the best burns I've ever heard in his run. He says, yeah, you want to make fun of Fozzy? Well, Fozzy's coming out with a new hit single. It's called Shelton Benjamin's a Little Bitch. But then Raw, while Benjamin is wrestling, Jericho and Fozzy come out and actually perform Shelton Benjamin's a Little Bitch for the live crowd. And it's hilarious.
So creative. Take that, Shelton. How about that? But I also think Jericho was a bit embarrassed that he was on the receiving end of the infamous spot from the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21, the match that he created, and Shelton Benjamin was basically taking the spotlight away from him. So here we go with this rematch, and one of the big differences and a key difference is that Jericho actually knew that he was wrestling Shelton Benjamin weeks in advance prior to this pay-per-view. He didn't find out, like, moments before the bell rang, like a Taboo Tuesday, which is still a very solid match. Give those guys credit where it's due. But with preparation and with proper, agency putting the match together ahead of time, boy, howdy, does that make much of a difference. This was my match of the night. I don't know about
you. It really
you.
was. These guys really brought it in this match. And like you said, if you give these guys an actual, time to construct this match, it came off very well. And these guys had excellent chemistry in this match.
Oh, they really did. They really did. It was super competitive all the way through, super athletic as well. Jericho, brilliant counters out of all of Benjamin's signature holds. Like Benjamin goes for a dragon whip. The movie always spammed in SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 for those of you millennials, Gen Zers like us. But goes with a dragon whip. Jericho catches him into the walls, and it was just beautiful. It was Benjamin, like I forgot a lot of spots. Yeah, go ahead.
Benjamin jumps off the top rope and Jericho counters him with a Hurricane Rana off the apron to the floor. And it's just like
nasty.
Jericho was pulling out like his classic WCW like Japan spots in this match. Like for, someone like me who was 11 years old when this match happened, not getting to experience, Lionheart Chris Jericho. Jericho was really like pulling out all the stops in this match.
Yeah, Lionheart Chris Jericho, which is interesting you bring it up now because we have a ECW One Night Stand coming up in the retro as well. So Jericho, again, is reversing every single little thing of Benjamin's offense. Benjamin actually does hit the T-bone suplex, and Jericho kicks out of it. How many people can you say kicked out of the T-bone at this point in Shelton's career? That was a very protected finisher. Yeah, he did. He did get his foot on the rope. My bad. Yeah, no, Jericho had his foot on the bottom rope, and match continues. Shelton is a little bit frustrated. Jericho slaps on the walls. The crowd really wants Shelton to tap at this point. I don't know if it was mainly pro Jericho, but like, man, yeah, this crowd was like, oh, we wanted a title change. But we go into this amazing sequence at the end where Chris goes for this lion salt. And they do like a reverse inside cradle so many different times. And Benjamin actually catches him off guard and pins him with Tomas's favorite finish of all time, the roll up. I love it. Because he got one over on him. He got one over on him.
Or roll ups nowadays just look so sloppy. And I think that's another reason why I don't like them. Like, if you're going to catch someone in a roll up or a small package, at least tie them up to the point where if I'm looking as a viewer, I want to say to myself, oh, you can't get out of that.
I mean, it looked like a pretty deep cradle, though, because Benjamin had Jericho bridged, and, like, Jericho was literally folded up in half. Like, I can't really see how he kicks out of that.
You know what my favorite roll-ups are? The ones where they catch them and the opponent is struggling. Like, you see them actively struggling to get out of it. Because I've seen roll-ups like the Hurricane Rana into the pin combination where they'll do it and you'll just see the wrestler just like oh no, I can't get out of this. Yes, you can. At least attempt to kick out.
You fucking hate the cradles. They're great. They're
I do.
great.
They ruined them. Modern wrestling has ruined them.
Well, I mean,
just like they ruined the Canadian Destroyer.
I mean, in this case, I mean, it looked like a pretty tight inside cradle, and Shelton sneaks out by the skin of his teeth and keeps continuing his long IC title reign, which started at Taboo Tuesday, mind you. There was a lot of amazing little sequences and little tidbits of this match. Jericho sneaking in some of the old Lionheart moveset there made the match all the more physical and all the more intense and all the more entertaining. I'm giving this 4 stars. It was great.
This was super fun, and this is what an opener should be.
Mm-hmm,
Any stretch of the meeting. It should either be a very personal feud or it should be a wrestling clinic like this. This is how you kick off the show.
Yeah. Now, this is technically babyface versus babyface, and some people might have the complaint that it would be difficult for a crowd to get into a babyface versus babyface contest, but these fans, man, they were hanging on every move these guys were doing, and they were super hot, again, because it was the opener, so I'm sure that had a huge factor into why the fans were into it, but yeah.
I personally love babyface versus babyface matches, because if you want to look at, let's call it the Hogan Warrior effect back at WrestleMania 6, it's not about boo this guy and cheer this guy. It's who do you like more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who do you like more?
Who do you like more, Superman or Batman? Who do you like more, Captain America or Iron Man?
It's a coin flip.
We all win. Yeah.
It's a coin flip. Yeah, no, and we got a great match. Jericho was a little bit frustrated as he headed up the ramp. Oh, boy, Todd Grisham tries to interview him, and these are kind of where the seeds are started being planted for a Jericho heel turn. A very brief Jericho heel run, mind you. But Jericho does not utter one word to poor Todd Grisham. He just, blows right by him, doesn't even let him finish asking the question, and he's gone. He's up the ramp. He is so frustrated that he could not get past Shelton here.
The villain arc begins for Jericho.
Mm-hmm. He was so upset, but yeah, great match. Probably one of the better ones out of Shelton's IC title defense, if I'm being honest. And he's had some good ones. He's had some hidden gems, man. I loved his match against Christian at Survivor Series. Now this one, really good stuff.
Do you think Jericho was getting stale at this point?
Little bit. I thought he was getting stale about a year ago, too. So, I mean, a heel turn really would have freshened things up. He became
go-to generic good guy to fight Triple H, the Randy Orton, Benoit, Jericho troupe. I feel like that's when he started, I don't want to say getting stale, but he started becoming a wallflower.
Yeah.
Just like, hey, we're not going to do anything with you, but we're going to throw you in there when we need you because the fans like you. And you're dependable. You're a go-to guy.
I mean, it's not it's not a bad position to be in because you are old reliable, but you're right. You do fall into that danger zone of your character becoming a boring one. So I'm really glad that they pulled the trigger on the Jericho bad guy turn when they did.
Nothing against this person I'm going to make the comparison to, but Jericho was in the danger zone of becoming the Miz, that generation's Miz.
Yeah,
just being all reliable, and nothing against the Miz. I fucking love the Miz. The fact that he's able to stay relevant to this day. But a couple years ago, they put the championship on him for a week.
But to that point, as a counter argument, how long has the Miz been in this character that he's been working with? How long has he had the quiet on the set? Can we please have quiet on the set? He's been going on a full decade with that shit now.
Crazy to think about, isn't it?
Crazy. Yeah, over a decade, but Jericho thankfully is able to reinvent himself and present himself in different, more captivating ways, almost annually, which is crazy to think about, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, so hold on tight, my friends. We have a very brief Jericho heel run before he takes a long hiatus from WWE. Not too much more pay-per-view retro podcasts here with Chris Jericho on them for a bit.
Interesting reasons, and we will save all of our thoughts for Jericho's departure for the SummerSlam review.
Yes, yeah, we sure will. But speaking of Canadians, I should note that Edge was interviewed by Jonathan Coachman backstage, and he's talking about how he'll be the last man standing which is odd because it feels like him and Chris Benoit are just wrestling a normal match tonight. But he pulls out. Yeah, he pulls out his Money in the Bank briefcase, and it seems like Edge was trying to get the bank on it catchphrase over. This is very much in the infancy of what the Money in the Bank briefcase was. I feel like this interview was very it was teetering on that line of, okay, Edge is making this briefcase his character.
I am 100% convinced that I'm sure Edge had a meeting with Vince and said, okay, so when am I cashing this in? And Vince said, I don't know.
I have no. Before.
Mm-hmm. So thankfully, we have a very, very large cushion with this briefcase. And just hang tight. We will figure it out when we figure it out. And get used to seeing Edge with this briefcase because he's going to hold on to it for a while.
Mm-hmm. So up next,
we have where you're going to forget he has it.
Yeah. Yeah, which is crazy. Again, thankfully, you'll notice in this run that Edge has with the contract, the briefcase does not overshadow the character. The character is eventually propelled by the contract, which is what the Money in the Bank should be about. Look at what they're doing with Damian Priest right now. Senor Money in the Bank. It's like it's become a part of his lore now. So
yeah, and then you flip on the other side of the coin. You look at Io Sky, and I'm nervous. I'm very nervous.
Yeah,
very, very nervous. And then you look at Money in the Bank failures in the past, like Nikki Cross and Baron Corbin, and people that just like, okay, you have the title, or nope, you're not going to have the title.
Yeah, might as well. Might as well. So up next, we actually have a very special tag team turmoil for the World Tag Team Championships. Now, for those of you who are new, tag team turmoil is basically two teams start. Once one team is eliminated, a new team comes in. Tajiri and William Regal are defending these bad boys. I still, for the life of me, cannot remember how Tajiri got the other half of this this title reign here.
Because it may have been just one of those instances where Eugene was injured, so Regal got to pick his replacement.
Yeah, I know for a fact that when Eugene dislocated his kneecap at New Year's Revolution, he retained the tag titles. So Regal had to get a replacement, or else, Bischoff would have stripped him. That probably would have made a lot more sense, given in character. Just Bischoff strips William Regal for daring to even take his nephew to a new level. But
again, we're in 2005, and the tag team scene on both shows is not that hot.
You don't say. You don't say. So Tajiri and William Regal start this match as the champions, so they have to run the gauntlet. The first team they face off are Romeo and Antonio, the Heartthrobs. Good Lord.
The Heartthrobs were these romantic ladies' man gimmicks.
They're gay. What? That's their gimmick. That's their gimmick.
Los Lotharios, but not as cool. Nowhere near as cool. The fact that I'm comparing them to Los Lotharios is an insult to Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza.
Yeah, yeah, you don't say. It's heartbreaking. It is literally heartbreaking that you're comparing those guys to Humberto and Garza. Come on.
This is the only time we're going to talk about these guys on this podcast, so let me give my quick thoughts about these guys. Sure, they're silly. Sure, it's a stupid Vince McMahon gimmick.
They're gay.
They were a new tag team. They were new faces. I was kind of looking forward to seeing what they were going to do with them as a kid, because as a kid, anytime I see new faces, I get excited. They start to build them by, I'm not kidding, the end of the year. I remember they had a handicap match with Kane, and Kane buried them 6 feet under. Never saw them again.
That was a beat the clock challenge. I think. Yeah, Kane beat them in 5 seconds, and that's how he entered that chamber match last. I remember that.
Way to put over this brand new tag team like that. Have them, waddle around in the tag team scene, do absolutely nothing, and, get absolutely squashed and never heard from again.
And look at these guys' entrance, and look at how they freaking gyrate around Lillian Garcia. These guys could have been on the same level as Billy and Chuck were. If they were
comparison,
what?
They Pretty Deadly, but not as cool. And not as charismatic. Not as fun.
Except Pretty Deadly doesn't have those homosexual undertones either. Because the constant thing with these guys, the Heartthrobs, later on the Heartbreakers in TNA, briefly, these guys are not gay, but the commentators are constantly making jokes about go-behinds. The crowd is chanting, "You suck dick" at them. Like, come on.
They're very metrosexual. Pretty deadly. Very metrosexual.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's this freaking gimmick, man. I cannot wrap my head around it. Like,
but
I don't know.
This is the most we're going to talk about them because Tajiri and Regal eliminate them. So
yeah, how long did it take them to eliminate these fools? Hold on.
That's a good question. I don't even know.
It doesn't even give me a time. Yeah, it was fairly quick. Tajiri pinned one half of the Throbs. So see you later.
And who's next? Simon Dean and Maven.
Oh,
so
yep.
It's basically Simon Dean's poster boy now. He's like, he's okay. Let's talk about Simon Dean real quick because I love Simon Dean.
I love him too.
Gimmick.
This is a gimmick I actually love. I love this gimmick.
Personal trainer. What's so evil about a personal trainer? Well, he's a personal trainer that says, "I'm healthy, I'm fit, you're fat, you're out of shape, you eat a bunch of garbage, and I'm better than you because I'm in shape."
Excuse me. This is
that's what makes Simon Dean an asshole. And Simon Dean would promote the Simon system. Think about, you wake up, it's 3 a.m, you left the TV on, and you see these infomercials for exercise equipment and this bogus,
for Bowflex
dietary supplement. Yeah.
Bowflex, Nutrisystem.
Dietary supplements. And they say, "Oh, just put this in your protein shake and you'll lose weight in no time." It's just like that. I've explained it before. I remember seeing hype packages for Simon Dean, and I missed this from WWE. They used to be so creative. I saw the infomercials for Simon Dean, and I thought they were real. But when Simon Dean started saying, like, "You fat slobs need to lose weight," I'm like, oh no, this is a wrestler debuting.
Yep.
And so Maven kind of became Simon Dean's heavy. He would promote the Simon system. It was,
Maven basically, to kind of like piggyback off those infomercials, Maven would eventually become like his main testimonial for how much the Simon system is actually working. Even though Maven was a very fit guy, like if you look at him, like over the past 3 years of his career, didn't look like he needed to lose weight at all. Like this guy was extremely lean, very physically fit. Like, why would you put him with Simon Dean? It doesn't make sense. Like, it would, like, honestly, it would make a lot more sense if you put, like, a super heavyweight as Simon Dean's heavy and then have him, like, periodically abusing him into, like...
You're going to think I'm crazy for making this comparison, but if you did what you just said right there, that's like the Alpha Academy.
Yep.
Simon Dean could have been Chad Gable.
He could have been, yeah. He actually kind of does remind you of Chad Gable with how obnoxious some of his stuff is, but...
Yeah. But Simon Dean, this isn't the last heavy he's going to have. He's going to get drafted to SmackDown where he's going to do some of the best fucking work of his career.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about what he does at SmackDown.
I can't wait to talk about Simon Dean and the Dean Machine. Me and my brother would mark the fuck out for the Dean Machine.
It's just a segue. That's all it is. It's a segue.
It's
but
the Dean Machine. And how ironic that he promotes exercising and good health, and he's riding around on a Segway.
Right. So in any case, Simon and Maven, again, I really don't have much of a recollection of these guys as a tag team. Maven did have all of those testimonials, if you will. Yeah, they're getting some heat on Tajiri, and bonus points to this random tag team, by the way, for actually living up to their gimmick and actually wearing matching colors out there. Yeah. Simon Dean has like a purple gym suit on and like track shorts, and Maven is out there in purple and black now, and I'm like, okay, all right.
As random as it was, dare I say, I liked it though.
Regal hot tag exploder suplex on Simon Dean, and these randos are out of here. Poor Simon Dean. Poor Simon Dean, man.
On the flip side of that, it's what happens when you don't have a tag division.
Yeah, you just put two guys together who aren't really doing anything, even though Vince McMahon wanted to get back to character-based wrestling. Simon Dean feels like a character that would be right up his alley around this point. But
so, God bless Hollywood Nova. He took this gimmick and he fucking ran with it.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to talk about his appearance on One Night Stand. I really can't. But La Resistance comes out. The crowd then starts chanting USA, even though there are 0 Americans in the ring at this point. William Regal, Tajiri, La Resistance. Name one American out of those 4. Name one.
In Vince McMahon logic, good guys American, bad guys not American.
So why are William Regal and Tajiri baby faces here?
If you're a good guy, it doesn't matter what your nationality is. If you're a bad guy, your nationality is everything.
Good Lord. My word.
Props to La Resistance for staying, head above water for this long. Like, Rene Dupree got drafted to SmackDown a year ago, and La Resistance still, I don't want to say the top heel tag team, but again, WWE went to them whenever they wanted a strong heel tag team to go over.
Well,
this would be the last time we see La Resistance on pay-per-view because
which is sad.
Rob Conway and Sylvain Grenier are going to get split up by the draft, and they're both going to get really shitty gimmicks.
Oh boy, yeah, and Rene Dupree practically disappears as well. Like, we haven't talked about him since what, the Royal Rumble?
Exactly.
Goodness gracious.
Rob Conway, the conceited douchebag that feuds with a bunch of legends, and we're gonna get Sylvain.
Yep. The oh, good Lord, yeah. We'll get to Sylvain.
Cursor to Tyler Breeze. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, we'll get to Sylvain, huh? But
would you be intimidated by a man named Sylvain?
No. I would just be like, hey, what magazine do you belong to? Anyway. Yikes. So Tajiri does like a tarantula from inside the ring. William Regal has a Regal stretch on Conway. Regal fights off the other bloke that's in the ring, and Conway ends up rolling up Regal, and the tag champions are gone.
That's how you get yourself some heat.
Yep.
I like that. That's how you get yourself some heat.
With Tomas's favorite finish, by the way, the roll-up, too. So the champions are out without really much fanfare. And here come the Hurricane and Rosey. If you don't remember this team, the Hurricane basically took one half of 3-minute warning, these big Samoan savages who came out from the streets, and he basically made him the superhero in training.
But he was so goddamn endearing.
Yes.
I loved him. I loved it, and I loved him. Like, again, those off-site vignettes they would film with Rosey helping an old lady across the street and him trying to save a cat from a tree. That's like, oh my God. Call me crazy. It's right up there with the Los Guerreros vignettes that they would do. I fucking love them.
They're great vignettes.
Rosey saving the old lady, and then the old lady saying, "What's your name?" "I'm the superhero in training, the SHIT." And then he gets hit with the purse, and Rosie's saving the cat, and Hurricane's talking to the little girl, and you see in the background, and Rosie has the cat attached to his face. It was good stuff. It was really good.
Rest in peace, Matt Anawai, by the way. He was so good in this role.
Roman Reigns' brother.
Yep. Brother. You look in this guy's eyes, and you look at how he smiles at people, and you can't help but look at him and not see Roman. Like, it's so weird. It's like bizarro world here.
Oh, yeah.
Rosey ends up getting the hot tag. He hits the world's strongest slam for a 2 count, which is pretty much what it is. He hits him with the world's strongest slam. Hurricane, this is a great finishing maneuver, and it seems kind of devastating if you think about it. Rosey is standing on the second rope, and Rosey's a big 6'8", 350-pound man. Hurricane gets on Rosey's shoulders, and Hurricane jumps like, oh my God, like he jumps off like the freaking Blue Beetle and just splashes on top of Conway. 12-foot drop, I feel like, because Rosey was a tall lad. Hurricane pins him, and you have your feel-good moment of the night. Hurricane and Rosey win the World Tag Team titles. This was okay. Happy ending tag team turmoil match. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars, but, it was
fun.
Fine. Yeah,
it was fun for the feel-good moment at the end. This is the only time Hurricane and Rosey would win the tag team titles, and it was a thrown-together tag team, but it worked. Mm-hmm. This is the last time we're going to see them, though, because I don't know who they dropped the tag team titles to. Do you think this is a good time to talk about this?
So actually, I can tell you right now who they dropped the titles to. It was actually at Unforgiven.
Okay, we'll save it. We'll save it then.
Yeah, we'll save it. We'll save it for Unforgiven. So I know that's when they drop the belts, but maybe we can talk about what you wanted to talk about then. We'll put a pin in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Put a pin in it. If you're watching this in February of 2024, then refer to Unforgiven 2005 when we talk about that.
Because I was there when it happened, and I want to talk about that.
You were there when the titles changed?
No, I was there when Hurricane turned heel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
After Unforgiven.
Cool. Yeah. We'll save that for then. God damn it.
This is a personal blood feud, and personal blood feuds need good stipulations. So, should I go into the build first, or should I just say the match? Just say the match.
Say the fucking match. I mean, we know what it is, but
versus Chris Benoit in a last man standing match.
Why?
I would wait for these two guys, these two rough and tough, brutally, physically stiff dudes. You don't want to see them wrestle. You want to see them beat the shit out of each other. And you got to keep your opponent down for that count of 10. How did we get here? Edge is the one who cost Benoit the Money in the Bank briefcase when he didn't cheat. Mind you, he did not cheat. He was smart, and he used the steel chair in the ladder match to aggravate Benoit's arm injury by hitting it with the steel chair. So Benoit's pissed. They are at each other's throats going into Backlash, and I remember so vividly, Benoit and Edge being held back by security, Bischoff getting in the middle of them and saying, like, you know what? This cannot be handled in a regular wrestling match. You guys are going to have a last man standing match at Backlash.
He could have picked anything else. Like, he could have put him in a cage. He could have made it false count anywhere. Yeah, he could have made it a street fight. It would have been a lot more exciting than this match was.
Benoit and Edge already had a steel cage match.
I don't give a shit. You could do another steel cage match. Yeah.
No, last man standing.
No, fuck last man standing. Let me give you all the statistic, okay? Let me give you all the statistic real quick. This match went 19 minutes, and I guarantee you 10 of those. I guarantee you that 10 of those minutes were of referee Earl Hebner counting. And I'm like,
we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Goodness gracious! Now you see why the last man standing match sucks, right?
No.
Yeah,
it was very good.
It's so fucking slow. It's so fucking slow.
This match was very good. I like this match a lot.
Okay,
because
so
it was physical.
Do you want the positives real quick?
Yeah.
Do you want my positives? I can give you a positive. Given the stipulation, Benoit and Edge did a hell of a job. They really did a hell of a job with what they were given. I loved the selling and I loved the storytelling in this. Benoit and Edge had natural chemistry with one another. They were really close friends in real life.
This match was stiff too.
It was. Obviously, Benoit's in this match, so you're going to get some freaking stiff shots.
To Edge for taking like 10 German suplexes in this match.
Yeah. And it was funny because JR was talking about, I don't know if I've ever seen this many German suplexes in a match, King. And I'm like, bro, just wait about 9 more years and you'll see Brock Lesnar freaking blow this out of the water.
Okay. There were some issues with this match. But
you think?
Because of one man and one man only, and that is referee Earl Hebner. Jerry Lawler. I think Jerry Lawler went into business for himself in this match because, deservedly so, he was criticizing the hell out of Hebner in this match. And it's because Earl's psychology when it comes to last man standing matches is total bullshit. Because Hebner thinks he only has to count when there's a big spot. No, if you want to keep it consistent and keep it like, I don't know, a real fight, anytime someone leaves their feet, you start counting. But there were spots where like Benoit would knock down Edge and Edge would be laying there for a good 5 seconds and Earl's over there picking his nose like, nope, that's not good enough to garner my count.
Yeah,
no.
literally,
knockdown, the suplex, anything. You leave the feet, competitor leaves the feet, you start counting.
Literally, the first spot in this match was Benoit laying Edge out with a takedown, and Benoit tells Hebner to count, and Hebner doesn't do it. So it's like, and God, we're gonna be here for fucking ever watching this match, aren't we? With Earl Hebner's way of counting.
When there would be a big spot, Like, wasn't there like a superplex off the ladder?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. There might have been a superplex.
Superplex off the ladder. It was pretty brutal, but oh no, it was a German suplex off the ladder. Holy shit.
Yeah, yeah. Edge took that, Edge took that like a fucking champ, man. He really did.
So there was a huge spot like that, and Hebner starts counting, but he would go 6, 7. The Edge would start stirring, stop counting. He was basically telegraphing for the fans, oh no, that's not the end of the match. So
yeah,
we're going to continue counting.
But even he did not need to telegraph the fact that it was going to be a near fall for the fans to basically realize that this wasn't the end. Like last man standing matches, they're all going to go at least 20 minutes. You're going to have a lot of very slow near falls. Like, good Lord, man.
You could say the same thing about an I Quit match.
Well, no, an I Quit match, you could be like, an I Quit match is like a submission match. You could just basically ask, yeah, what do you say? At least you can have the entertaining trash talk in an I Quit match.
But, okay, let's say there's an I Quit match. A wrestler hits another wrestler in the back of the steel chair. You think that's going to be the end of it?
No, but you get, at least you're not sitting there waiting as the referee is going, 7!
Yeah, you are, because the wrestler has to say, ask him, and the referee gives him, do you quit? No.
Hey!
No, it's not like that. That's just Hebner. Hebner's a shitty referee.
9! Oh, wait, he's back up. Yeah, no, that's how all last man standing matches go. That's how all last man standing matches go.
Drama. It's called drama.
I mean, if they want to present it like an actual sport, they would count it like an actual like boxing match. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, it's so fucking easy to do a last man standing match. It's so fucking easy.
In on Earl Hebner. Like,
yeah,
it was fucking hilarious.
And he deserved it.
Was taking on him.
He deserved it, man.
Earl would do the thing where, Edge would start stirring. He'd be like up to his knees and he'd stop counting. And Jerry Lawler was like, what are you doing? He's still down. Keep counting.
Jesus Christ, man.
Like,
I mean,
every single time. Like, Jerry Lawler was taking these passive aggressive shots at Earl Hebner every time. He does like, oh, he's not going to count now. Watch. He's not going to count. It's fucking great.
I appreciate the fact that both men used as many weapons at their disposal as they could. Was it Edge that introduced the ladder? I mean, that would make sense if Edge introduced the ladder, yeah. So, Edge takes a gigantic German suplex off that ladder. Benoit makes Edge tap out to both the sharpshooter and the crippler crossface, but because it's under stupid last man standing rules, Benoit does not win the match.
Benoit goes for a suicide dive and it just fucking smacks him in the face with a trash can lid.
Goodness gracious, man. Like, in hindsight, knowing what happened about 2 years after the fact, just watching that spot makes my blood curl. And I forgot that happened in this match. I forgot this is the match where Benoit took a trash can lid to the head. But
I find it crazy that what happened, but nobody is stepping and saying, hey, Bryan Danielson, maybe you shouldn't be doing that move.
Nope.
The fact that not one wrestling company has not banned the flying headbutt.
Yeah. Well, you're also forgetting one thing. Danielson is not, juiced up on steroids either.
Yeah, still, I don't like the flying headbutt, and it's kind of sad that no wrestling company has banned it.
No. But, Benoit hits the flying headbutt, and it misses the flying headbutt as well. Edge hits Benoit with the execution.
DDT.
The execution. Fuck you. He hits the execution on the briefcase.
Benoit commentators, why are they allergic to calling moves by what their names are?
Good Lord. Edge gets back up at a 7. Benoit gets back up at 9. Edge hits
Edge-O-Matic too. They never called him Edge-O-Matic.
Oh, Edge planted him. Just call him the Edge-O-Matic. Just call it the Edge-O-Matic, man.
I always think about it this way. If commentary is supposed to be painting a vivid picture of what's going on in the ring, what if pro wrestling was on the radio and you could not watch it whatsoever? You would want to vividly imagine in your head what's going on in the ring, like baseball or basketball or hockey.
Sure.
So if I hear Edge planted him, that could mean anything. That could literally mean anything.
It could mean anything. It could just be like an arm drag. It could be a takedown. Edge could hit him with a clothesline. Edge could plant him with a lot of things. Edge could plant a cactus in his yard. Edge could plant flowers in his front yard if he wanted to. He plants him. Why
would he do that?
Yeah, well, why not? Why not? Maybe he wants to reconcile with him. But anyway, Edge hits one spear. Benoit gets up, and Lawler is complaining that Hebner is counting too slow. Lawler is right in this case. Edge hits another spear. Benoit, of course, gets right back up at 9 because why? Good Lord! Like this whole finish took like 5 minutes, and you could have told this same story shrunken down into 1 minute. Edge hits one spear. Benoit kicks out. Edge hits a second spear. Benoit kicks out.
Why would you? I don't want to say demoralize, but not protect the spear.
I mean, just don't do a last man standing match. But anyway,
last man standing match. It's not a good match. It's dramatic.
Debatable. Edge then sees that the spear is not working, so he's got a contingency plan inside the Money in the Bank briefcase. And what is it, Tomas? It's not a contract.
It's a brick. It's a fucking brick.
Damn right it is. Clocks Benoit right in the back of the fucking head with the brick, which, again, in hindsight, is haunting. Benoit
doesn't fucking hold back either. He cracks him with that fucking brick.
Edge cracks this
in the safest way possible. He didn't fucking pull that shit that one dude in Mexico did, where he just fucking threw a center block at his head. He clobbered him in the safest way possible.
Yeah, the difference between, this is not like Kevin throwing bricks at Marv in Home Alone 2. There's nothing humorous about this. Edge clocks Benoit with this brick, and Benoit is done. He's out cold. Of course, Hebner could have counted to 20 in this case. Edge, of course, wins. It's the right move to put the Money in the Bank winner over in his first match after winning the briefcase. But the key to all of this is Benoit selling. Because after the match, he does not move. He does not move until he gets help. Until the doctors come in. They try to pick him up and they try to help him to the back, and then he stumbles under his own weight because he was hit with a fucking brick.
I mean, great babyface sympathy. Benoit still has it in that regard. But also, it's been over a year since WrestleMania 20. And Benoit is in the same position Chris Jericho is in. And here's the thing, it's not going to get any better for Benoit because for the rest of his career, he's going to be in mid-card purgatory.
Yeah.
He gets drafted to SmackDown, and he does not feud for the world title at all.
Not at all.
At all. You swear this guy would have had heat or something because he doesn't get anywhere near the main event.
I don't know, man. Again. I don't know. We'll save that for when he actually does go to SmackDown and save our final thoughts on him when we eventually get there. But
because we still have a lot of Benoit career to discuss.
But final thoughts on this match.
3 3/4.
Oh, dude, that's heartbreaking. That is heartbreaking.
I loved it. It was very good.
That's fine. I can't go higher than 3 1/4 though. I'll give the match bonus points for the work that Edge and Benoit put in, despite the crummy stipulation that they were given.
Good stipulation.
Debatable. And I also love the fact I loved the finish. That was the best part about it. And that finish is probably the only reason why they ended up doing this stipulation is so Edge could use that brick. And it's I don't know if he ever used the brick again in his run with the Money in the Bank briefcase. This was that's so bizarre. Because, wouldn't you think Edge would have introduced this and, oh, man, he's got weapons in that briefcase.
It could have been his brass knucks. It could have been the brick to Edge could have been, the brass knucks to William Regal.
Yeah, but...
It's a fucking brick.
It's a fucking brick. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, kid. You want to throw bricks? Throw another one. But yeah, that briefcase must have been fucking heavy coming out to the ring, huh?
Man, brick all day.
Might as well just be putting rocks in there like Patrick does, huh?
wait until Shelton Benjamin's mama comes through, and she's gonna take a page from Edge's book and put a brick in her purse.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Except for the brick wasn't actually in the purse when she fucking hit Val Venus with it.
Nope. Not talking about Mama Benjamin right now. We're just going to move right on. We're just going to move on to another crappy feud here. Wait, is this... Hold on. No, I don't know if this is the point where we get the segment I'm thinking of, but... Oh boy, yep.
We must have skipped it, yeah.
Yep, here we go. No. It comes after this match because it's filler. So, Jerry Lawler comes into the ring. Yeah, Jerry Lawler comes into the ring, and he invites all the divas down to the ring because, of course, he does. Viva las Divas is what he's promoting. This magazine spread. And he is asking all the ladies in the ring what they think their favorite picture is. And, he goes down the line. It's this is just filling time to fill Vince McMahon's 2-hour, 45-minute pay-per-view quota. Out comes Chris Masters to interrupt it. And this is...
Okay, this is not the TV debut of Chris Masters, but he was like a post-WrestleMania debut.
Yes.
Chris Masters is known as the Masterpiece.
Damn right he is.
He has a body chiseled out of stone, and this man's entrance is pretty damn good.
I fucking love his entrance. I don't care what anybody says. Obviously, when you look at this guy's presentation and when you listen to the commentary about Chris Masters when they're talking about, oh, what great physique he has, these are clearly Vince McMahon fed lines to try and get this guy over, because he was only 23 at this point in his career. He was very, 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 very young, very early on. But his entrance is like unfreaking believable. Never did I think that it starts off with like the Michelangelo statue work of art, and then it cuts to freaking Chris Masters flexing there, and I'm like, this guy is a pompous ass, man. I remember those vignettes that were airing of Chris Masters, and I was like, I don't want to say that's how I learned who Michelangelo was, but that's kind of how it was. That's kind of how it was with me at 8 years old. Yeah, so Masters comes out, and what were your thoughts on Chris Masters, like, as a young fan, like, just looking at this entrance?
Again, this was back when WWE had very, very, very creative vignettes for debuting superstars. Remember, this is before NXT. This is before the Performance Center. This is before the internet was such a huge force in wrestling. And nowadays, when a big name gets signed, like Jade Cargill, for example, the rumors of her coming to WWE, everybody knows in advance. So there's no way to build like this mystique around. Could you imagine Jade Cargill coming to WWE and for like 6 weeks, they produce these promos of like her in the background with lightning and clouds and thunderbolts and her silhouette, and it says Jade Cargill is coming. Like, it would get you excited and make you like, ooh, who is this Jade Cargill? What is she like? What's her in-ring style going to be like? This is so exciting. And that's what this was like for me when it came to like, Simon Dean and Chris Masters and Carlito and all these other stars.
Muhammad Hassan.
Muhammad Hassan. Like, and I remember me and my brother were kind of like hyped for this. Like, just seeing like, this silhouette of this extremely muscular man and the music playing in the background saying Chris Masters is coming. And when he debuted, again, body chiseled out of stone, great physique, great presentation. His entrance is great. He has the great theme music. He's got the cape, and he'll like do a whole just like body pose down on the ramp. And it was so cool to watch. Eventually, it would fizzle out, and the whole intro would get taken out, and he would still have the theme song bit of it. But that's a different topic for a different time. But throughout the weeks leading to Backlash, he would do this thing that he would do here called the Master Lock Challenge. And his
Master Lock Challenge.
It was a full Nelson. And if I'm going to give Chris Masters credit for one thing, he made the full Nelson brutal. He brought that move back. He revived that move from the grave. And made it like one of the most devastating finishers, the most devastating submission holds ever. Like, dare I say, Bobby Lashley has Chris Masters to thank for breaking the full Nelson back the way he did.
He made me never want to be in a full Nelson ever. Like I feared for my life every time I watched the Master Lock Challenge. And anytime someone would like try and pull my leg as a little kid and try to put the Master Lock on me, and I'm like, no, I don't want my neck broken. No, don't do that. You know.
So the Master Lock Challenge was Chris Masters is a pussy heel, and he's a bully. So what he would do was he would challenge anyone to break his Master Lock. And this wasn't wrestlers in the back. He would pick fans from the crowd.
Obviously, plants.
Pulling a page out of Ted DiBiase's book, he would have a wad of cash with him and say, anyone who could break the Master Lock gets this wad of cash. So it's a pay-per-view.
Time out. How does Chris Masters at this stage in his career, how is he able to get those paychecks to where he can actually give that amount of money to somebody? Like
Vince McMahon was probably like, oh yeah, look at his body. He's chiseled like a stone.
Here, it was probably money out of my wallet. Here, you can just have $3,000. If you can go ahead and offer it, just make sure you give it back to me, though. That's not going in your paycheck.
Remember, this is 2005, and Masters picks a fan out of the crowd, and it's a very muscular woman. And Masters just goes on to make these very uncomfortable comments about her. I think at one point he says, "Are you even a woman?"
2005.
He says one of the cringiest lines in the history of wrestling. He says, "Yeah, because you put the man in Manchester." You know what? You're damn fucking right. She does.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah. You know what's wrong with that? So Masters locks this poor woman in the Master Lock, and he's like shaking her around like a rag doll. And again, it's a devastating hold. The referee stops it immediately. And he takes the money and he holds it up, and he's like, again, give Chris Masters credit, not just for a devastating finisher, and the fact that this finisher was so protected over like a good chunk of his early career, but he was able to get heat with this crowd. Because as soon as he let go of that Master Lock, like the people in that floor section where that woman was sitting, they just like hounded this young man. Like, my God. And he was jaw-jacking with him. Yeah.
He's like 20 years old at this point, too.
22 or 23. 23, I think.
He's young. He's fucking young at this point.
Yeah. So
Chris Masters as a wrestler, that's for a different podcast. We
Excuse me. Yeah, we'll get there.
But this is the pay-per-view debut of Chris Masters, and he is the definition of a Vince guy, because we're going to be talking about him a lot.
He's going to be all over our 2006 retrospective when we get to that, isn't he?
The cringe continues, though.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is your usual warning for a Raw pay-per-view or anyone involving Kane, that if you do not like storylines that are centered around rape, sexual assaults, forced pregnancies, or any garbage of that sort, we encourage you to fast forward maybe about 7 minutes deeper into this podcast after we finish talking about 10. This garbage. Let's say 10. Yeah. 10 minutes or so, just to be safe.
Good news. We're almost done. We are almost done with this feud.
Thank fucking God. So
almost.
Kane is going one-on-one with Viscera, which sounds like such a great match on paper. You know, it sounds awesome. That's right. That's right.
The Man on a Mission? You mean King Mabel? You mean Ministry of Darkness Viscera? What the fuck is he doing here?
Whoop, there it is. Well, I mean, he made a appearance in the Royal Rumble, so it's not like he was, completely
he also
devoid.
Made his return in the feud with JBL and The Undertaker last year, when JBL brought back Ghost of Undertaker's past to try and take him out. But Viscera is now full-time back with the WWE, unlike Gangrel, because Gangrel said, fuck that, they're going to make me a jobber. And Viscera is basically Trish Stratus's hired gun. Trish Stratus tells Viscera, do me this favor. In a modern day professional wrestling, Trish Stratus would have said, I will give you $10,000 if you just take out Kane. I will make sure I can pull some strings with upper management. I can get you a World Heavyweight Championship match. But no, this is 2005. So Trish Stratus basically says, Viscera, you take out Kane and you can have your way with me.
Meanwhile, on the opposite side, Kane, the man who raped Lita, remember, we're supposed to cheer him. And Lita has gotten Stockholm Syndrome for some reason, and now she's really fallen for Kane. Like, why? Why?
Because, and remember, let's rewind back to 2004 in the feud with Snitsky. Man who accidentally killed her baby and showed no remorse is more evil than the man who actually did the dirty deed.
Like,
sick, man.
Yeah, like what? Like, why should I be cheering for Kane right now? Like, there's no reason.
And
Viscera
has spurned a lot of hats in his career. We talked about it. Men on a mission. King Mabel.
Well, there it is.
But we are going to go into the most infamous gimmick of all time. He's a horny bastard.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't
know? So it's literally look at fucking Viscera and his presentation here. This should have been so fucking easy. He's the big scary monster coming out there to kill Kane.
Also, his theme song was pretty sick.
Yeah.
He came out with a large cloak and he looked intimidating. He looked like a vampire. And I'm just like, why did we derive it from this character to go into the big horny bastard?
Because Vince McMahon. Viscera could have been a gigantic 500-pound vampire that was just terrorizing everybody. The monster that's hiding under your bed, you know?
Yes!
Like, it could have been so freaking cool, but no.
Remember that Disney Channel movie?
No, I don't.
Called Don't Look Under the Bed?
I don't remember that one.
Look it up. It's fucking good.
He could have been
the main character reminds me of Viscera.
He could have been the boogeyman. Boogeyman.
Oh no! Wait, we're gonna get that in here.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get to him. We're gonna get to him in about 30 podcasts.
Who was on SmackDown on Friday?
In about 30 podcasts. But
just front row SmackDown is fuck it. If the Rock can show up, so can I.
Might as well.
Who's gonna show up next? Jack Perry.
What'd you think of this match?
I like how you just ignore my random fucking Jack Perry reference.
That's right, because Jack Perry doesn't deserve it. Anyway.
I was scared. I was very scared going into this match, just the circumstances surrounding it. And, considering Kane is a very reliable worker, he can get a decent match out of almost anybody, not named the Great Khali. He can carry a match. But Viscera, Viscera is like, he's safer than, some of the wrestlers that I've watched, but you want to go back to 1995, he had the incident with Kevin Nash where he just fucking sat on his lower back and fucking Kevin Nash snapped at him. A little risky, but I think these guys
broke the Undertaker's face and forced Taker to wear a Phantom of the Opera mask for a few months. Do you remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But
man,
I was surprised these guys actually had a decent little hoss fight, and the crowd got into it like the second half of the match.
Yeah, it was about what I expected.
It was no Miro and Powerhouse Hobbs, but it was a decent little hoss fight.
Dude,
I didn't want to fucking puke after the match.
Dude, not even fucking close, man. Like this one, I don't know. I mean, Kane just hits.
Like I said, it was nothing like we see today, but. Again,
how long did these guys get?
Hold
on. I'm gonna see how long. I want to see how long this match was.
6 minutes.
6 minutes? Yeah, that's I don't know. I feel like
they could have gotten 15.
Yeah, they could have finished the match in 4 though, and it probably would have been less offensive. But Viscera, speaking of offensive,
you can't deny that the crowd didn't get into this.
No, because the crowd was hot all night long. They were going to be hot for everything. So, Lita probably has the most amount of courage out of anybody in this match. She goes in, tries to run interference to help Kane now. You remember back in Unforgiven when she was trying to help Shawn Michaels beat up Kane to get one up on him? Now she's helping Kane. Fantastic. All as the fans are chanting, "We want Matt at Lita," or "You screwed Matt at Lita." They were doing the same thing to Edge in the Last Man Standing match. Keep that in mind. For when we get to Vengeance. But Lita is cornered by Viscera, and he is a horny bastard. That's his gimmick.
So he starts going,
yeah, and
ah,
props.
and this goes on way too fucking long. By the
It was
way.
uncomfortable, man. It was
Because
so
Kane
uncomfortable.
obviously missed his cue, and he was supposed to save Lita, but he doesn't. So she's just sitting there, and then Lita just awkwardly leaves the ring. So it's like it was so awkward. It was such an awkward spot.
Yeah. So Kane misses his cue. Then he saves the woman he raped last summer. He hits Viscera with a bad-looking choke slam and pins him.
Viscera hits a pretty honest, decent-looking lowdown.
Yeah. No, that was the best move of the entire match. Viscera hitting the lowdown, but I don't know.
I'll give it 2. I will give it 2 for surprising me.
Star and a half.
Being a decent little hot fight that the fans actually got into.
Yeah, this match
one and done.
One and done. Thankfully, this match was about what I expected, but the memorable part is after the match when Trish Stratus gets on the microphone and says, "Even if you had beaten Kane, I wouldn't have gotten into bed with a fat slob like you." That's basically the extent of what she said. Good for Trish for standing up to him. And then Viscera picks Trish up and bear hugs the living bejesus out of her. Like
Trish Stratus sold it like a boss.
Yeah, she got ragdolled, and Trish is a freaking warrior because she takes a big splash from Viscera. How many other women can say that they've taken big splashes from Viscera? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Like,
but this is important because for some reason, this turns Viscera babyface. And Viscera goes into a new gimmick, embracing his horniness.
The world's largest love machine, Viscera.
Completely changing up his repertoire. He now wears the world's largest pajamas, which I don't know why.
Because he's horny. He's horny and he wants to get into bed with people.
Man had such a weird fetish for big people. Like he always, everything had to be the world's largest this or the world's largest that, the world's largest pajamas, the world's strongest man, the world's largest athlete. I'm like, why do you? What? I don't care.
Because I like big people. Big people are what make wrestling the spectacle that it is. Yeah.
I want to talk about that one move he does. So Viscera would do this move where he would body slam his opponent, or he would face plant them, and his torso would be on top of them. So he would flip around, which is actually pretty impressive for a man his size to do it so fluently. But then he would hump their back.
Yeah. 500 pounds. 500 pounds. It's supposed to cause a lot of impact to the lower back. But
more importantly, this would effectively write Trish Stratus off of TV because I don't know if she was injured or had an outside project, but you're not going to see Trish Stratus for a long time on TV. And guess what? She's taking the women's title with her.
And she is not stripped of the women's title. Like, there's no ounce of, like, mentioning the women's title anywhere until she actually makes a return. Not until September. And thankfully,
for a minute.
Thankfully, she comes back as a babyface. And she gets into another very interesting angle going into Mania 22.
Must have gotten injured. And WWE was like, you know what? We only have 2 women on this roster we can rely on. I guess Victoria doesn't exist anymore. I guess Victoria doesn't matter anymore. So instead of, putting over a new woman, this is 2005. We don't care about the women's division. So fuck it. We can just not have a women's title for a few months.
Jeez. Yeah. I guess we can do without it. That's, yeah. I don't like it. No.
Not on TV for several. Oh wait, his name is Roman Reigns.
1,000. Anyway, up next. Oh, speaking of Roman Reigns level figures, we have one.
Next,
we have one more match.
Huge match that, again, as a kid, and you don't know like the backstage news, you don't know the dirt sheets. When stuff like this happens, it's such a genuine surprise. Like, I could only imagine someone my age nowadays watching this past Friday SmackDown and seeing The Rock show up out of nowhere. That must have been Because I remember watching SmackDown this past Friday, and I saw that. The first thing I thought to myself was, "Gee, I sure wish I wouldn't have known about this, because I would have leapt out of my chair and like screamed."
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this was like for me, because we're talking about Muhammad Hassan and Daivari teaming up to take on Shawn Michaels and the immortal Hulk Hogan. How did we get here? So after WrestleMania and Michaels losing to Kurt Angle, Daivari and Hassan decided to make Michaels their next target. And it's 2-on-1. Michaels can't take on Daivari and Hassan by himself. So Michaels wants Daivari and Hassan in a 2-on-1 handicap match. But for some reason, Eric Bischoff is inconsistent in his thinking and says, no, if you want to fight them, you got to find a tag partner. Michaels says he doesn't want a tag partner. Bischoff says it's either find a tag partner or you don't wrestle them at all. So Shawn Michaels gets on his knees, and he looks at the camera and he says, I don't usually ask for favors, but I'm asking you this favor. Hulk Hogan, be my tag team partner.
Hulk Hogan.
That was crazy.
Hulk Hogan of all people, right? It's just nuts when you think about it like that. Yeah. Muhammad Hassan and Daivari. Muhammad Hassan and Daivari are the opponents, and you know, it's fitting. Hulk Hogan's the real American, and he's coming in to beat up a bunch of angry Arab Americans. And they actually show you a lot of the background of Muhammad Hassan and Daivari from those early vignettes of them getting hastily searched in the airports, of Daivari getting like the wand, like, you know, going up and down his body, you know, to make sure he doesn't have any firearms on him.
What do we have against Italians?
Daivari's not Italian. Anyway, yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yeah, like you didn't have another Arab American on the roster that could have filled this role. It had to be an Italian man.
Could you imagine if this match would have taken 10 years later? Could you imagine the WrestleMania entrance these guys could have had?
Oh my God, dude!
Make this guy like an Iraqi prince.
Mark Capani was screwed. He was so screwed over, you know. But again, he really came off like $1 million, man, in his presentation. The theme music that was the greatest at interrupting people. The heat that he was getting. This guy was awesome.
Also, considering we're only 4 months into his run, and he's working with Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, after having a segment with Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan's return segment. So here we are, this tag team match, and you know, this crowd, they blew the roof off for Hulk Hogan. There were guys who were sitting 4 rows, 5 rows back, all wearing Hulkamania t-shirts. They had signs that said, "We're here for Hogan." Someone had a sign that said, "I drove 17 hours just to see Hogan."
Christ almighty.
Yeah.
Hogan was still over in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all things considered, regardless of your opinion of him, Hogan's going to be over for the rest of his life. He could show up on Raw tonight, and he'll still get a pop.
Not for sure.
A pop this magnitude, because he's pissed off a lot of people over the years. But he would still get a pop. There's still like, you know, there's still some assholes out there who's like, I don't care what Hogan did or say. I love him. I'm like, you're what's wrong. You're what's wrong with the world right now, buddy. Just going to say that right now. But that's beside the point. But this was probably one of the last times Hogan could blow the roof off the building the way he did in this entrance.
Oh, he sure did. He goes out there, the crowd just absolutely loves it, and he takes about 10 minutes to actually just make his entrance. Him and Michaels are doing like the thing that Hogan did, of course. And this was a lot of fun. This was a super, super, super fun match.
Also, yeah, I'm very happy with this match, because when you have Hogan, that presence of Hogan in this match, he could have easily overshadowed Shawn Michaels, but he didn't.
No, Shawn. I mean, I don't want to say Shawn felt second fiddle, but there was a point where Hogan's music was the one that played at the end. And up through the summertime, I would say, Shawn was posing with Hogan in the ring to Hogan's music. And Shawn was always the first one out. He was always like how do I put this? It's like if you go to like a Taylor Swift concert and you're like her opener, you know? Like, it's like, you're always going to be overshadowed. People are always going to remember Taylor Swift, you know, from like going to the concert. and Shawn Michaels was the opening act. Yes. So in any case, yeah. We'll get to Shawn's resentment in a little bit, and I can't wait to get to that. But this was a fun match. It was a really fun match. Hogan starts the match off with Muhammad Hassan, and say what you want about Hogan and Michaels. Hogan overall was the story of the match and his return. But if you go and watch this show, if anybody's talking about this show for some odd reason other than us, please do not overlook Hassan and Daivari for what they did in this match, because these guys were perfect opponents. It
takes two to tango.
It does.
And you couldn't just throw anyone in there with Hogan. You really couldn't.
I mean, there was an uncomfortable point where Hassan was like hanging Shawn Michaels over the top rope with his bandana, or was that in the build?
That must have been the build.
That must have been the build. Okay, yeah,
again,
I might be.
Hassan knew how to get heat.
He did.
He knew how to get heat. And they would do some great spots in this match that would just be... Because, okay, let me get this out of the way right now. This match, by no means, was a technical masterpiece. It was...
far from it.
Yeah, it was basically... I don't want to call it a nostalgia act, but this was... like a feature. This was the main feature. Like, you weren't... These guys literally could have stared at each other for 15 minutes, and nobody would have cared. This is
a match to make...
Featured attraction.
This is a match to make the crowd feel like little kids watching wrestling again.
Oh, yeah.
You know, in 2005, I'm sure there were a lot of people wearing Hogan shirts out there that were like 20 years older than they were when Hogan first appeared on the scene.
Let's take us back to WrestleMania this year when we went. John Cena versus Austin Theory. I remember 10 minutes before the show started, I went to the bathroom. I ran into somebody wearing the new Cena shirt, and I told him, like, hey, nice shirt. I'm probably going to pick that one up, too. And we were just talking about how happy we were to see John Cena. And, you know, people will talk crap about that match. I didn't care. I was there. I'm almost 30 years old, and I was getting excited for John Cena to make his entrance.
Yeah.
So it was a featured attraction.
Sure was. Except Cena opened the show in this case, and Hogan went on second to last. Which is interesting.
Jerking, brother.
Which is interesting. Yeah, no. What did you say, brother? Fuck you, dude.
You want to die.
Jimmy Hart, take him out back and kill him.
Yeah, kill Daivari.
Kill Daivari, take this. Who said that? Yeah,
Hogan didn't look at Hassan and say, give me your side bread, dude.
God damn it. Pasta Mania, dude.
Give me your side bread, dude.
Hey, brother.
There was no bread in this match. This was fun. Of course, Michaels takes the heat. He, worked a great heat segment with Hassan and Daivari.
Yeah.
Hogan gets the hot tag. The place blows off. The roof blows off the building. And props to Hassan and Daivari for getting those cheap heat moments of not letting Hogan hit the leg drop.
Yeah. And again, just like WrestleMania last month, I was surprised. Hogan does not hit a leg drop. Hogan does do the, he hulks up after Daivari, hits him with a lead pipe or something like that. No, Hassan hit him with the lead pipe. Hogan
must have been, fresh off of one of his hip surgeries.
Yep, that had to have been it. So, Daivari tries to pin Hogan after Hassan hits him in the back with a pipe. Hogan starts hulking out. The crowd is getting so fired up. And, the crowd does it perfectly, dancing along with it.
Obviously, that's supposed to be the no. For some reason, as a kid, I thought he was doing this, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? No, what is that?
He's turning the key. He's unlocking the fact. He's unlocking the fact that he can go into the next sequence.
So fucking unrelated, but I also liked when Hurricane was in a sleeper hold, and right before 3.
Jeez Louise.
Invented Orange Cassidy.
Anyhow, Hogan hits the big boot on Daivari. Hassan tries to get involved. That's a false finish. The referee is holding Hassan back. Daivari comes to. Michaels hits a sweet chin music, and Hogan pins Daivari after the super kick. No leg drop. Leg drop. So Michaels does the leg work, and Hogan picks up the scraps like a heel. And, they win. Of course the Dream Team wins. What would you expect?
I'm going to give it 3.25 stars. The match itself wasn't all that special, but the fans enjoyed themselves. They were really into it. Obviously, the right team went over. But this whole thing was like a half-hour segment.
Three and a half.
And then
three and a half, dude. Yeah, no, like, again, because Hulk Hogan is in the ring, I'm not going to say that this is a technical masterpiece, but he did have 3 capable workers surrounding him, and it's a tag match, so he doesn't have to work the whole match by himself. So,
no, absolutely not.
Yeah,
but in afterward, the celebration, it goes on and on and on, and the fans did not care. Hogan could have stayed out there and posed for 3 hours straight, and the fans would have loved it. My favorite part is when they drag the Hogan superfan into the ring. If you don't know who he is Hulk Hogan's #1 fan, and he has a full back tattoo of Hulk Hogan on there. It's pretty damn impressive. And this was probably the greatest moment of this guy's life, because Hogan and Michaels invite him into the ring. They rip off his shirt and they reveal the tattoo, and he got to pose with Hogan and Michaels. So fucking cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. People can actually, I'm going to sit here right now and have a hot take. I feel like this pay-per-view could have been remembered a bit more fondly if this went on last. I'm not joking. I'm not joking, man, because think about it. Of all pay-per-views for Hulk Hogan not to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go on last, brother, because I'm the Hulkster and I've earned it," you know? Oh, even over the world title. I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like this match, like with the happy ending that we got, it's a bit more of a conclusive finish to a pay-per-view than the main event actually was, but
this is very strange, a very strange concept to think of, but do we even know what Hogan and Triple H's relationship is like? Did they like each other? Did they not like each other? Do they have heat with each other?
I have no idea.
Like on professional, I don't know, because you think about Backlash 2002, you think about Hogan basically squashing Triple H's face run right then and there. You look at this pay-per-view and you bring up a really good point. I don't know, like, I've never heard Triple H speak about Hogan. I've never heard Hogan speak about Triple H.
Yeah.
There's you talk about like Triple H and The Rock, and people have always had like that, that feeling that Triple H kind of holds resentment towards The Rock, and they're not each other's favorite person. You hear about that, but I haven't heard one like squeak about Hogan and Triple H. Obviously, different sides of the spectrum, different sides of the wrestling world. Hogan left for WCW just as Triple H debuted. They both had their careers were on different planes. And by the time Hogan came back, of course, he had the program with Triple H, but Hogan was very in and out of WWE when Triple H was on this monstrous run.
Sure. Yeah. And that's something I feel like that definitely needs to be researched the more I think about it. But yeah, I mean, that's something that's just some food for thought for Tomas and for everybody watching and listening to this podcast. What if this match went on last? And what if Hogan went back to his old politicking ways to put himself into the main event? It's not like he always did that in WCW, because there were a lot of instances where he had to go on second to last because the world title was deemed more important. I think this is another one of those cases here.
No. Do not think this is born again Hogan, because he's going to play some politics later on.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, we get to the world title match, the aforementioned world title match here. Batista is defending against Triple H in the epic rematch from WrestleMania, where Batista won the world heavyweight title.
Triple H 2, as they're billing it.
Roman numerals. Batista Triple H 2. So this match, it's interesting because this is a normal wrestling match. You would think that they would escalate this feud a little bit farther with a stipulation, perhaps, maybe make it no DQ.
So whenever you have a main event like repeat itself like this, you look at WrestleMania and you know what the big story going into WrestleMania was. It was Triple H, the culmination of Triple H taking advantage of Batista. Batista finally, standing up for himself and using his Royal Rumble match to go after Triple H. And it was the big crowning moment of Batista defeating Triple H. But you have to grow the story from there. This is the rematch. You can't just have a rematch for the sake of having a rematch. So this kind of has to you can't just rely on what they did at WrestleMania. It has to grow from there. And the way they grew from it was Triple H saying, yeah, you may have pulled a fast one on me at WrestleMania, but that's because I never hit you with the pedigree. Yes, this is about Triple H's finisher now. And Triple H saying it's the pedigree that won me those 10 world championships. Debatable. It's the
Debatable.
pedigree that has made me such a big star I am today, and you are scared of the pedigree.
Batista is scared of dog food, then, is what you're saying. He is. Triple H is saying he's scared of pedigree. You know, like that's what it is. The animal is scared of dog food.
That's my one issue with this build. Swap out the pedigree for the sledgehammer. The sledgehammer is the great equalizer. The sledgehammer is Triple H's like his last resort. It's the sledgehammer that always got the job done when the pedigree couldn't, because the pedigree didn't always. It's a protected finisher, mind you, but it didn't always get the job done.
Then why not make this match no DQ if you want to center it on the sledgehammer? Triple H has every right to use that sledgehammer. Well, I mean, that's a different stipulation. That's not just purely no DQ, but in any case.
But again, we're past the pageantry. We're past the crowning moment of Batista winning the world championship, and this is his first defense. I feel like I'm gonna, I like this match a lot more than the WrestleMania match because this match didn't have the pressure of being the main event of WrestleMania. And I feel like that goes into a lot. You think about, I'm by no means was the WrestleMania match a lackluster, but you look at some WrestleMania main events in the past, like you look at Cena and Miz, who are very capable of having a good match. You look at Triple H and Randy Orton from WrestleMania 25. You look at, I don't know,
Hunter and Jericho.
Yeah. Triple H and Jericho from WrestleMania 18. They always have that pressure of we're the main event. We should be the best match of the night. And then it kind of falls flat. I will say the Mania crowd by this match was very gassed. They got a 5-star class. They got a Michaels and Angle. They got,
the Money in the Bank match. They had Taker and Orton.
WWE Championship. Yeah. They got a lot going on there. So I feel like this match flowed a little better because they didn't have that pressure of being the WrestleMania main event.
I am going to respectfully disagree with you and say that I prefer the Mania match only because the Mania match was what it needed to be. It was a decisive victory to put Batista over. And by comparison, I feel like this match kind of made Batista look a bit like a chump. I don't know about you, but he comes out.
Also at the same time, Triple H is a heel. He's the heel we've all grown to know and hate. You couldn't expect him to go 2 matches in a row. It's just how desperate he is to get the world championship back. I expect him not to try and cheat.
I understand that, but this match was so freaking overbooked. If you really look at it, like this honestly kind of reminded me of Hunter's match with Randy Orton at Unforgiven the previous year. Why do you need 2 ref bumps in a world title match? You would think that Vince Russo books this thing.
But that's just a Triple H special. That's a Triple H Jeff Jarrett WCW special.
No, that's the norm. Hold on, that's a Vince Russo special. That's not necessarily the wrestlers involved. That's the person actually booking it. So I was sitting there like, did Vince Russo somehow sneak his way into the building from wherever he was sitting at the TNA headquarters?
But come on, it was pretty fucking funny after the first ref bump, how Triple H just grabbed the referee by his belt and lifted him up like he was a suitcase.
Make sure to wake him up from the decisive pinfall that he got on Batista. Well earned. Triple H should have been an 11-time world champion because he did hit Batista with the pedigree. And Batista was down for the count. And this is why this match bothers me so much, man. Because you just put Batista over like a massive stud. The guy that put Triple H down. The pedigree non-factor. Hits Triple H with 1 Batista bomb, and that's it.
If that was such a driving story element of this match, you think Triple H would have went for the pedigree like 4 or 5 times in this match? But he didn't?
Yeah. And Batista returns the favor, goes for the Batista bomb early on, and he says, yeah, I was that close too, buddy. I got a finisher too, and I actually beat you with it. Why didn't that factor into the build either?
Yeah, exactly. Swap out the pedigree for the sledgehammer, and this would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, but
the finish, I will agree with you, was a bit nonsensical.
Bit contrived.
Triple H hits the pedigree, and Batista kicks out because the ref is down. Oh no, there's no. Does he kick out?
Yeah, no, he does kick out because like Triple H has Batista pinned for at least a count of 10. Ironically, with the last man standing match also on this card.
So what does Triple H do? Does he get Batista back up and hit him with another pedigree? Does he go and get the sledgehammer? No, he backs Batista up in the corner and starts hitting him with 10 punches. That's a match. That's a move you do 3 minutes into a match, not
more importantly, that's a move
15 minutes into a match.
That's a move you also do if you're a babyface. A babyface Triple H ain't at this point. So
now, if he wanted to, I don't know, just like mount Batista and start like raining down punches on him.
Oh,
like,
disgusting.
Sit him up in the corner and like stomp the hell out of him. Like that'd be one thing, I guess. But a 10-punch spot is just so random. And you see, it telegraphs the finish. You see it coming from a mile away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's up. And here's one thing like I don't like about Triple H. He takes a lot of his ring psychology from Ric Flair. He learned from the dirtiest player in the game.
Ironically enough, was trying to interfere a buttload in this match, which, of course, you know, in all these Triple H title matches that we've been talking about over the past 2 years or so, Flair has always been a factor. And Batista very easily dispatches of him.
And what do we know about Flair's psychology? Flair has a lot of signature spots in matches, but the setup for them just doesn't make any sense, like, you know, from a storytelling perspective. Like, the Flair flop. The Flair flop is hilarious, but Flair has to put himself in harm's way to make that happen. And what's the spot everyone complains about? How Flair has climbed to the top rope like 1,000 times in his career. Every single time, his opponent gets up, runs to the top rope, and throws him off. So why would you go to the top rope if you're not going to land whatever you're going for? Triple H does that 2 instances with his repertoire. This and the flying nothing. What's the flying nothing? Have you ever noticed Triple H will climb to the second rope and he'll just jump off the top rope and you clearly see he's going to land on his feet?
It's a double axe handle.
I mean,
double axe handle.
No. The wrestler will be laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And Triple H will you see him jump off the top rope and you clearly see he's going to land on his feet because the wrestler, his opponent, is just going to put their foot up and he's going to take a face bump. So you always it's called the flying nothing, but you ask yourself, if he didn't put his foot up, what were you gonna do? You weren't going for a splash. You weren't going for a frog splash. You weren't going for an elbow drop. What were you gonna do?
He was going for a coup de grace, brother. He was gonna get that move over before Finn Balor ever did. God, if Triple H ever hit a coup de grace in one of his matches, I'd have a fucking stroke. But anyway,
if Triple H ever hit a coup de grace, both of his quads are gonna explode on impact.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't gotten to the point. We haven't gotten to the point where he tears his other quad either. So
yeah, we're not gonna get to that for another couple of years, though.
Yeah.
But again, the telegraph finish happened. Batista hits the Batista bomb, and Batista wins. I still like the match a lot. I thought it was a very good sequel to the WrestleMania match. But I understand from a psychological standpoint. I'll give it 3.5 stars.
I'm going to match it.
It was a very enjoyable main event.
Yeah, believe it or not, I'm going to match it. I thought it was very good. I think these guys have good chemistry together. But I beg you this question. With the kind of forced nature of integrating the pedigree into storyline, did this second match really need to happen? Like,
no, it could have just been your standard rematch clause.
It could have, you know, but I beg you this question also. If you just went from your Mania match into the Hell in a Cell match and just forget about this one in the middle, would that really change much?
I feel like it's obligatory, especially at this time. And this at this point in time in WWE is just kind of obligatory.
Yeah.
To have the WrestleMania rematch or the rematch clause.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't hate the rematch clause. Kind of wish they would bring it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Again, you want to grow from your feud. And I kind of hate one and dones. I want to see a feud grow and see how they can top their last match.
Yeah.
Because I love trilogies.
Mm-hmm.
I love series.
You don't like one and dones. Well, I'm sure you're glad the Usos are split up because you're not seeing that move again anytime soon.
Damn. I'm very sad. Usos split up. But anywho, you. I thought this was a very enjoyable show. Like on paper, didn't look that impressive, but I'm gonna give it 7.5.
6.75. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry to disappoint you. This one, it was a slightly above average show to me. Like, you know, aside from the opener, there's not really any matches I would highly recommend you go out of your way to see. Even the last man standing match. Again, this might be coming from, like, obviously this is coming from me, someone who hates the last man standing match and thinks they're fucking useless and slow, you know.
Benjamin and Jericho
was awesome. Watch that match. But everything else, I mean, the Hogan match was fun. Main event probably didn't need to happen in hindsight when you think about the next match that they're going to have. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I mean, there's nothing offensive about the pay-per-view. Unlike, this is actually, I think it's the same rating that I gave Unforgiven from last year. But the difference between this show and Unforgiven 04, you didn't really have any offensive segments on that Unforgiven pay-per-view. I mean, you know, this one you have the Master Lock Challenge, which has some, like, pretty questionable dialogue, but
it didn't age well.
No, Vince McMahon show though. That's kind of what you would. It's kind of what you'd expect if you were to look back on this. But yeah, I think that's gonna about wrap it up, my friends. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Tap on that thumbs up as well. Really helps out.
Enjoy our next couple weeks where we kind of decompress, because at the end of the month we have AEW Wrestle Dream. And then at the beginning of the month, we're going to have WWE Fastlane. And we are going to Monday Night Raw October 1st and at the SAP Center.
Yeah, October 2nd, I believe.
October 2nd. We will be on Monday Night Raw, so we will definitely share our thoughts about that when we review Fastlane.
Yep.
There's also an NXT pay-per-view. There's a lot of wrestling out there right now. We have the Arthur Ashe show in AEW, which apparently only has like 6,000 tickets sold, which, ouch, for a stadium show.
Not good. Yeah, big time. Yeah, so Tomas and I are going to be going to Raw. And I've also just bought my tickets to go to Big Time Wrestling that same weekend, that Friday. So it should be a good time there. Yeah, Fastlane is coming up. Next time on the Retro, though, we have one of my personal favorite pay-per-views of 2005 when we go to Judgment Day. And I don't mean anything involving Finn Balor, Rhea Ripley, Damian Priest, anything like that. But we have a freaking I Quit match for the ages that I cannot wait to talk about. It's going to be so much fun, guys. So, if you're new, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. One more reminder, let us know what you thought of Backlash 2005. And thanks, guys. Stay tuned for the next one.